Good evening, everybody. It's great to see you this evening. Thanks for being here on this rainy Wednesday night as we go to God's Word to be reminded of things we've heard of before, maybe learn some new things, and in all things be strengthened and edified. This Wednesday night class, as you should well know by now, is different than what we usually do. Usually we always enjoy and appreciate in-depth studies. We're very much about being in-depth, and that's a good thing. This is not an in-depth study. This is a survey study. And so we have a prime objective in this study, and that is to get the big picture, get the historical chronological view of events that happened in the Old Testament. And so that being the case, we obviously are not delving deeply into some things that, it almost hurts your feelings to have to skip over some of the things that you'd like to talk about in more detail. We have done that before. We will do that in the future. But for the purposes of this study, we're going fast to get the overview, the survey view of the Old Testament. So, just in your mind's eye now, you may even close your eyes and think about where we have been so far. We talked about creation, Adam and Eve and the fall, Cain and Abel, Noah and the flood and making the ark, the Tower of Babel, then the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Jacob's favorite son, Joseph, sold into slavery in Egypt, rose to be the number 2 man in authority in probably the greatest nation on earth at that time in Egypt. The whole family ended up in Egypt because of a famine. After Joseph died, as time passed, the children of Israel became themselves slaves in Egypt. God commissioned Moses to deliver the people out of Egyptian bondage. He did. They crossed the Red Sea. They went to Mount Sinai. God delivered the law for the children of Israel to Moses on Mount Sinai. Because of their unbelief and lack of faith, they were forced to wander in the wilderness for 40 years. Finally, they went into the promised land. Joshua led them there. They conquered the promised land, and they took possession of it. As we studied last week, though, they did not rid the land of all of its previous occupants. And because of that, God had warned that those people would be, if they didn't rid the land of those previous occupants, they would become a snare to the children of Israel, and they did. So last week we talked about the judges. And so there were just recurring